What's up, everyone? About to do the top 40 albums of 2021, and I think this was a really solid year for music. A lot of the mainstream acts dropped, but at the same time a lot of the more underground or newer artists dropped as well that were able to keep up with what a lot of the mainstream acts dropped. A lot of them exceeded them too. So with that being said, I think it was a great year for music. Hopefully 2022 is even better, but we will now go into my top 40 albums of 2021. So at number 40 we have HIATUS KAIYOTE with Mood Valiant, more of a psychedelic type of album from the Australian band. Number 39 is Blue, the color blue, using his name and the color blue as a metaphor and a theme for his album. He doesn't stop with the blue references, and I think he does a really great job. Number 38, we have Little SIMZ, Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. I think this is an album that's going to continue to age really well as the decade progresses. Little SIMZ, I think this is their second album, continues to get better. Number 36, ARMAND and the ALCHEMIST with HARAM. ALCHEMIST top-notch production, tailors the beats towards ARMAND, and they deliver a powerful statement with HARAM. Number 35, POOH SHIESTY with SHIESTY Season. POOH SHIESTY coming out from Memphis. Memphis had a great year for hip-hop, and I really enjoyed this album. I thought it was a little bit better than the Moneybagg Yo album and some of the other Memphis artists, but needless to say, they're all great. But this one, SHIESTY Season. Number 35, I believe, we have KAW with A Martyr's Reward. And KAW always top-notch lyricism. Doesn't really get any better than this, and just sounds poetic as ever, rapping about his struggles growing up in Brownsville. This is definitely a good listen if you're a hip-hop fan that really likes to listen into the lyrics. Number 34, we have BOLDY James and Alchemist, Bo Jackson, another Alchemist joint with BOLDY, and the chemistry is on point here. Number 33, with JUBILEE with Japanese Breakfast. I saw a lot of great reviews on this record, wanted to check it out for myself, and ended up coming back to this album quite a bit. So I will be paying attention to what I think her name's Michelle Zauner drops in the future, along with her band. Number 32, we have CLAIRO with SLING. This is her second album. I really enjoyed her first record. I think I put it as number 2 when it first came out. But this second record finds her diving more into a slower sound, almost kind of like a Taylor Swift folklore, but she nails down what she's going for really well, and I think even though it's not as accessible, it is a really great record. Number 31, we have Pink SIIFU with Gumbo, and I got put onto Pink SIIFU this year as well, and this album sounds like a gumbo, which is like a kind of like a melting pot of many different genres and things coming together, and it executes really well. I think it could have been messy in ways, but Pink SIIFU is very talented. Number 30, we have Polo G with Hall of Fame. Number 29, we have Rod Wave with Soulfly, and number 28, we have Conway the Machine with La Machina. These are 3 great, more rap, trap, soul records. Polo, Rod, and Conway doing what they do best, and again, not necessarily a bad thing. Number 27, we have Silk Sonic with An Evening with Silk Sonic. This was one of the most anticipated hyped records of the year, and I don't think they disappointed. I think they dropped a really solid record. Number 26 is SKYZOO, All the Brilliant Things. SKYZOO is a more underground, backpack New York rapper, and here he taps into that New York Bed-Stuy energy extremely well. I love the jazz on this record. Number 26, or no, sorry, I think it's 25, we have WESTSIDE GUNN, Hitler Wears Hermes, and I don't really pick a side between side A and side B. It's a double album. I think it is a bit bloated, but I think there are a ton of really solid records in here, and WESTSIDE is in top form and bringing out the best in a lot of the features. Number 24, The Alchemist, This Thing of Ours, and This Thing of Ours 2. These are both 2 different EPs. I just put them together as one, all produced by The Alchemist, bringing in familiar faces such as Earl, Navy Blue, Vince Staples, Z Loopers, Mike, Mavi, all the great more underground artists that are pushing the culture forward, coming together with The Alchemist, and really can't go wrong. Number 23 is MUSTAFA, When Smoke Rises, an artist from Toronto who has really just bared his soul on this album, singing about the struggles of growing up in the projects that he did and losing various friends, and really painting a sad but realistic picture of what life growing up in the hood can be like. Number 22 is Don Toliver, Life of a Don. Don doesn't go extremely rap heavy or trap focused here, and I really enjoy that he kind of goes a more laid back route. I think that he really followed up his debut album with a solid sophomore effort. Number 21, we have Olivia Rodrigo with Sour. one of the biggest more mainstream albums that came out this year that was extremely solid. I think she showcased what she brings to the table as an artist. I'm extremely excited to see where she goes in the future, and she has a great fan base to really propel her future success off of. Number 20 is SNOH ALEGRA, Temporary Highs in the Violet Skies. I think SNOH ALEGRA has one of the most unique and great voices, especially in R&B, and I love the soul and sometimes funk energy that she brings to the table. Number 19 is Isaiah Rashad, The House is Burning. Number 18 is J. Cole, The Off Season, one of the bigger major league rap albums that dropped. Kind of just reminding everyone that, you know, he does deserve to be in the top list of rappers. Number 17, we have Mike with Disco. Mike is an underground New York artist, works a lot with, her sound is kind of laid the groundwork that I feel like Earl did on some rap songs. I don't know who really started it first. I'm gonna guess it's Mike, but because he's been doing this for a while. But needless to say, his record Disco sounds a bit more optimistic than some of his others in the past, even though he still raps over the same sampled or looped beats. I really enjoyed the sound, and it's kind of intoxicating. This is one of my favorite types of rap to listen to now, and Mike is one of the pioneers of it, so gotta give a shout out to Disco. Number 16, Drake, Certified Lover Boy. I know a lot of people don't really like this record. At the end of the day, though, I think Drake is Drake. I just love listening to it. He sticks to his formula that he laid the groundwork for, so he has every right to, you know, continue to do this when he drops his major league album. So shout out to Drake. Number 15 is Adele with 30, one of the most anticipated releases of the year. She's detailing her divorce and really bearing her soul, and I can appreciate all the emotional vulnerability that she showcases. Number 14 is Nas with King's Disease 2. Nas continuing to showcase why he's one of the best MCs of all time, linking up with Hit Boy yet again, and if King's Disease 1 won a Grammy, I think King's Disease 2 could very likely also take the Grammy. Number 13, we have Vince Staples' self-titled record. Vince Staples' short album, 10 tracks, but Vince Staples is a master of brevity, getting his point across without ruminating in it for too long, and it's a strong showcase of why he's one of the best MCs. Number 12, Young Thug with Punk, one of my personal most anticipated releases. This is, like, to me, his version of Future's Hendrix. He's tapping into more of a storytelling side of things, and even though he keeps it very true to himself, you know, there are another number of solid, you know, Young Thug anthems. I do love seeing this more risk-taking side of Thug and using his voice as an instrument, continuing to do so. Number 11, Playboi Carti, Whole Lotta Red. I didn't really like this album when it first came out. I went to see his show recently, and seeing all that energy, I really think that, you know, it is true. I've heard people say that, you know, he could have easily made Dial It too, done what he, you know, the same trap sound that he does, but he really went out of his element, created a, I don't know, for lack of a better words, vamp trap genre / rock / death metal, I don't even know, but I really have gone back to this record a lot and really enjoyed it for what it is. I think it will continue to age in either a way where people will love it or people will hate it, kind of like a Yeezus type thing, but at the end of the day, I think people will eventually come to see how great it kind of actually is. Moving on to the top 10, we have Pray for Haiti by MACH-HOMMY. MACH-HOMMY is an artist from Newark, but also comes from Haiti, and the mystique of who MACH-HOMMY is, I think, is really intriguing. And he rarely shows his face, doesn't really do live shows, lets his work speak for himself, and I can admire that. Number 9, we have IU with Lilac. This is her 5th record, one of my favorite artists, especially in the Korean music world. IU is just very refreshing. I enjoy listening to her music all the time, and so Lilac is one of my most listened to projects of the year. I think that she took some creative risks on here, like Coin, but also still sticking true to, you know, some of the emotional ballads that a lot of her fans love, like Empty Cup and My Sea. Number 8, we have Wiki with Half God. Got put onto Wiki recently this year. I know he was on, like, Earl's 2nd album, but never really paid much attention to who he was. Then he dropped Half God, fully produced by Navy Blue. He has a lot of things to get off his chest, and they're really worth listening to, paying attention to. I think this album is definitely worth putting on your radar if you haven't heard. Number 7 is Navy Blue, Navy's Reprise. This is Navy's 3rd album. It sounds lighter than his previous works, which are a bit heavier, and I think to hear this other side of Navy Blue, what he brings to the table, was really cool to see. He comes in the gate with Light and then Ritual. and staying true to a lot of the same production that he's rapped over, but kind of sounds like he has more of a chip on his shoulder on this one. So another strong addition to a catalog that is continuing to grow and continue to be amazing. So really hope to see more Navy coming in 2022. Number 6 is Justin Bieber with Justice. More of my guilty pleasure music to listen to. You could say so many things about why this album is generic and why it's not worthy of being in a top 10, but again, this is why everyone has their own opinion, everyone has their own lists. Personally, this was like my top listened to album of the year. I just kept coming back and listening to, just putting it on shuffle. It just made me feel good. I think it's better than Changes and his best effort since Purpose. Number 5, going into the top 5 now, is Baby Keem, The Melodic Blue. I really enjoyed what Baby Keem did on this record. I appreciated what he did with the concepts, the different risks he took, especially on a debut record. Had a lot to prove, a lot of eyes watching, a lot of people comparing him to Kendrick. He didn't try and make his own version of Good Kid, Mad City. He didn't try and do any of that. He just stuck to himself, and I think it really paid off. I think there are a lot of things that he can continue to take and continue to progress as he gets better. This is just his first record, so I think he'll only continue to evolve as an artist, and I'm looking forward to see him grow. Number 4, Porter Robinson, Look at the Sky, Nurture. I do love Look at the Sky, it's my favorite song off the album. This is Porter Robinson's return after, I think, 7 years since his first album, and I had to go back and listen to his first album after listening to this. This was the first album I listened to from him. And to see how he puts everything together himself, all the voices on the songs are him. It's very distorted, and seeing him recreate the production, I went to his live show, was really amazing. I think it's very comparable to how Kanye makes a lot of his beats and puts things together, kind of like how he plays Runaway live, and we'll just press the button on the beat player to create this sonic realm of, refreshing electronic music. I think was very unmatched, and I'm not really the biggest fan of that type of music, and so for me to really connect to it, I think was special. Number 3, we have Navy Blue, Song of Sage, Post Panic. Got this on vinyl recently. It came out at the very end of last year, but didn't have enough time to make it into my top list. Bringing ties back into the very important things like family, what it means to be happy, and so I think it's extremely deep, but also just a record that you can just play it really anytime and it sounds great. I think Navy really showcased why he's one of the best to do it in the game right now, produced a lot of different records this year, and basically dropped 2 full albums this year. So can't say it enough, Navy Blue, one of the greatest out. Number 2, we have Kanye West with Donda. This one is a big album to unpack, and had one of the most crazy rollouts I've ever seen. I was constantly watching the listening parties, tuning in, and each time I was left with some questions, some answers. Loved what I heard, was concerned with what I heard, concerned with what would actually drop, but when it actually came out with the deluxe too, he really overfed the fans with everything, and I think that it came together in a really insane way. But I love so many of the tracks off this album: Jail, Come to Life, Believe What I Say, Remote Control. It goes on. I think he brings out the best in all of his features. I love that he wants to tap into these different sounds, bringing 5EO on a drill beat and then hearing drill Kanye with Playboi Carti. He's just unafraid to dive into these other different artists' world and add his own element of who Kanye is. It's why he's the greatest artist of our generation, and to be at this new level at his age after dropping 9 previous solo albums that are all different in their own way, I think having Donda is just, we're going to continue to look back at this as a great time period to be a Kanye fan, and this is a great addition to his catalog as well. So number 2 is Kanye's Donda. Number 1, can't really predict it at this point, it is Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. And I went back and forth constantly between whether it should be Donda, whether it should be Call Me If You Get Lost. Sometimes if it should be Song of Sage too, I could see an argument for that as well. But I think what I really appreciate about Call Me If You Get Lost is that this is Tyler being extremely precise, whereas with Donda, to its strength in some ways too, he just kind of, throws everything at the wall, gives you everything. Here, Tyler, keeps things pretty concise, but also does the same thing as Kanye, brings out the best of his features, for example, with 42 Doug, NBA Youngboy, Ty Dolla $ign, Damogenesis, Pharrell, all the different artists that contribute, Brent Faiyaz, he brings out the best and caters to that. But I think the sonic theme of, you know, traveling across the world, dealing with this, you know, love triangle, and at the same time creating this in a DJ drama type mixtape, you know, bringing back that era that a lot of rap fans have truly missed, and a lot of people that are younger or maybe even my age don't even know about. So to bring that back as well, and to make everything sound cohesive without, you know, having one theme overshadow the other, I think it's extremely hard to do, and for him to produce everything himself, direct all the videos, create this whole world, comparing that to Igor, comparing that to Flower Boy, comparing that to Wolf, comparing that to Cherry Bomb, comparing that to Goblin. He continues to reinvent himself in different ways, and to be back on his rap flow, bring out the best in his pen game, and do it all, I think that warrants album of the year, and it's exactly at its definition. It is an album from start to finish. There's no misconstruing of the sequencing, whereas with Donda, you know, the deluxe is completely different than the regular. So I think Donda in some ways is greater. There are a lot of tracks that I'll probably go back and listen to more than I will off Call Me If You Get Lost, but if we're looking in the lens of an album, to me, Call Me If You Get Lost is a bit higher, and that's why I gave it my number 1. So that is my top 40 albums of the year. Hope everyone enjoyed. Please drop your albums that I missed in the comments. I know there were a lot of different projects that I missed out on. I have some honorable mentions that are listed on the website, so go check out www.collegesetlist.com for the full list. You can see my other lists for the year and past years as well. And if this video gets to 5 likes, I'll do a vinyl showcase in the future, and maybe some other music related content. But there you have it. Hope everyone has a great end of the year of 2021 and great 2022. I'll see everyone in the next one.